All right, welcome back. We're 14 weeks and 5 days away from the Berlin Marathon. So we're getting pretty close to that stuff now. Kind of crazy. So it's really time to lock in here. I haven't really given you guys a training update in like 4 weeks since that half marathon. And I've done some shoe review stuff. And you guys really liked that, but I wanted to give an update on the sub-3 progress and what's been happening. Because training has been a bit different for the last 4 weeks. So I want to track how much weight I'm eating with sourdough. Got to stay on top of the macros. You got to know how many calories you're eating. 200 grams of sourdough. So one slice is 50 grams. I'm going to note that down. Thanks, camera, for noting that down. All right, so yeah, pretty much we did that Norwegian singles block or two for around 10 to 12 weeks back in Bali, and then we finished it off here in Greece, and we saw a big jump in the fitness translation. It was a lot less hot and humid in Greece compared to Bali, but now we're going to Euro summer and it's actually starting to ramp up. So every day it's like 28 to 32 degrees ish consistently, and it's going to get hotter. We're going to get some mid-30s going into July, which is good. I like the heat up adaptation. But I was also looking into it, and going to Berlin, it's actually going to be hot and in the 20s every single day, pretty much, on average, in Greece, all the way up to September 27th. So I'll pretty much fly or drive into Berlin, and we're going to drop to like low 10 degrees, hopefully. And we're going to see that big jump in fitness, or like not big jump in fitness, but big jump in paces for a given effort, which is kind of nerve-wracking. I actually wanted to know closer to the marathon where my fitness is at without having to do like heat translations in my head, but we're not going to get that. Additionally, what that will mean is marathon pace isn't going to be a thing I'm going to plan for. It's going to be a marathon effort. And to be honest, I keep saying online I'm going for sub-3 and whatever, and I'm just going to train to an effort, and this is what I've been doing. I train to an effort and I just try to improve as much as I can, and sub-3 is just a nice number to wrap and say I'm going for this. I'd be happy if I go better than sub-3. I'll be happy if I'm close to sub-3. Obviously it'll be cool to break below that number, but yeah, you just want to get the most out of what I can do. So training to effort, no problem with that. It's just like, all right, so say I want to get sub-3 and I have to run 4 minutes 14 per K or whatever, I'm not going to really be able to test that. Like if I'm hitting 4 minutes 14 per K in peak summer in Greece for my long runs, like I'm in a mad spot, right? But you also don't want to get tempted to do that and then overwork yourself and then cause injury. So yeah, that's some considerations. But yeah, so we did Norwegian singles block in Bali. Got to keep cooking. What am I doing? Yeah, so we did Norwegian singles in Bali. Got really mad progress from that. Obviously, my previous marathon performance was like 3:57 in Melbourne in October. And then it took me like a month to get back into running. And then I built up from pretty much December in Bali from like 30K weeks. And now we're at 100K weeks. And I've consistently been above 80K weeks for like over 8-9 weeks, and usually I've never done that before. Last time I got to 80K weeks, I did it for 3 weeks, and then I got my Pesanserine bursitis, which you don't want any of that. So yeah, everything's going well. I've done it really nicely, no injury, and things are looking good. So I mentioned in my last training update that I feel like I'm leaving stuff on the table in terms of speed. So like going from like 400s to K to mile to 5K, blah, blah, blah. My paces are very close together, all the way up to the half marathon distance right now. So my half marathon time was 1 hour 33. And yeah, I've never ran like better than around a 4 minute per K for the whole mile, which is like, I don't know, 6 something in a mile. So yeah, I've wanted to do some speed work, and for the last 4 weeks, that's what I've been doing. So came back from the half marathon, took a week off, like just base runs, kept the mileage at around 60, 70, 80. I'm not exactly sure what it was. I might chuck it up on the screen. And then the week after that, we started this anaerobic block, which was Monday was like short interval reps, like 400 to 800 meter reps. And that was replacing my short Norwegian single session. Then Tuesday was base. Wednesday was VO2 max reps, which were like, 6 by a K, things like that. And that was replacing my long Norwegian singles, which was on Wednesday. Thursday was base. And then Friday, I kept my medium Norwegian singles as like a threshold stimulus. And Saturday was long run, and Sunday was base if I wanted to run on Sunday. It's optional day. Tuesday and Thursday, I also introduced strides and hill sprints respectively. And yeah, we ran with that. So yeah, something I actually noticed doing this in the first 2 weeks was that being a heavy runner, especially 93 kilos right now, /92, whatever. Yeah, I'm actually limited by like right now through by how much force I can put through the ground. So like my heart rate, it was very difficult to get my heart rate above 170 for these VO2 slash anaerobic reps, and really push myself. And like it felt like when I was doing the reps, my legs were getting more sore, and that was what's holding me back than anything else. So I did notice an improvement from week 1 to 2. So maybe there's like some neuromuscular benefits, and also like doing the strides and the hill sprints, I could feel that my leg turnover was getting better rep on rep, and that was translating into the sessions. Like for example, my Norwegian single on Friday I was doing, I could focus on keeping my cadence high, and that will translate to better reps, which were more sustainable. So yeah, that was really cool. But within all that, I don't know if I mentioned it, but when I was doing my half marathon in Romania, by 10K in, maybe even 5K in, I was ending up coughing every like 30 seconds to a minute, and like have to cough pretty aggressively, and then like maybe spit out some phlegm, and I could really feel that. And on top of that, I did note that, well, first of all, when I do harder efforts of running, even back in Bali, and as I've been building up, sometimes when I get back from my run and during my run, I start coughing. And then for the next few hours after the run, or even a few days after, like in Bucharest, I end up coughing aggressively throughout the day for a few days after. Also being someone who was asthmatic when I was younger, on Ventolin and different puffers and shit like that, that was obviously a bit of a flag, could be related to asthma. And additionally, I did have a heart condition when I was born, which was like regurgitation in the tricuspid valve, which is like one of your valves at some part of your heart on the right side. Yeah, obviously those were flagged in my head. And yeah, speaking about it with my parents, they're like, oh, why don't you get go see a heart doctor and get it checked? Because when I was 8, I was cleared to not see the doctor anymore about my regurgitation, and they said I should be fine. But yeah, we went to see a heart doctor, and I got like preliminary checks, ECG and ultrasound. And legit, the doctor showed me like on the ultrasound in the first checkup that my tricuspid valve was actually leaking. And you can see it's pretty cool. There's like 3 leaflets, and one of them was like failing sort of when it closes. And you could see there was like blood regurgitating back. And that pretty much prompted for more tests. So anyway, this guy was advocating that like I should stop running marathons full stop regardless, and like blah, blah, blah. So yeah, he's not sports oriented heart doctor, but he thinks like, you know, if you're not an athlete and you're not training for that, take it easy. So that was like a big hit to me, and he was pretty much saying like, why are you doing this to yourself, blah, blah, blah. And obviously I have this goal and I'm doing it, so I try to negotiate it a little bit, but he was pretty firm on advocating it's not good. But yeah, I explained to him I'll keep it pretty aerobic for the time being until we get some more checks. The next step was to get, kind of overcooked my eggs here. So the next step was like a week later, I got like some other checkup where they put me to sleep and they put a camera, I think down my throat or something like that. They put a camera somewhere. I didn't really know, and whatever, but they said they were investigating more. And the results of that were inconclusive, but they pretty much discovered that my right side of my heart's enlarged, and I do have regurgitation, and there's some sort of leakage. So what happens with the leakage, I've done some self-research, but your tricuspid valve controls blood flow from one part, like there's like 2 different parts of the right side of the heart, and it controls the blood flow from one to the other. And if it regurgitates, it goes back and it kind of pulls up and puts pressure back in the source part of the heart. And one of these is connected to the lung. So that blood is for lung function. So then you end up putting a lot of pressure, and then you can get an enlarged heart from it. But it turns out as well that like this is also like sometimes classified as athlete's heart. By the way, none of this is medical advice. This is just like my self-research. And like a lot of endurance runners and things like that can get this. So it's interesting because I had this and it was cleared when I was young, like in my early life, a few years old. But now I have a similar thing, and you don't know if it's like genetic or from my training. So yeah, those results were inconclusive, and it can pretty much be bad. Like if you have like some scar tissue build up from this and it's like some genetic thing, you can pretty much have that thing where you like almost have like instant death from doing sports. I don't know how severe it is and how accurate that is. That's just from my research. So yeah, the doctor was very firm. Obviously this is all in Greek, and like my Greek is kind of broken, even though like my family does a lot of the translation for me. But yeah, I do a lot of self-research and I translate the reports I get. But yeah, the doctor's really good, but obviously he's a firm believer that I'm pushing myself unnecessarily, which is a big hit, you know, like it's like, all right, I want to do sub-3, but this heart doctor's telling me it's not good for me. I should stop doing marathons. I should not. And if I'm going to run these marathons, because I told him firmly, like, I'm running this Berlin marathon, I'm running this Athens marathon. He's like, well, at least don't go all out. And obviously a sub 3 attempt's going to be all out. So what I did with my training, I started the anaerobic block first 2 weeks, did my normal plan, but I cut down my long run. So if you follow me on Strava, link in the description, you would see I did like a 32K run the week after Romania, something like this. And then my long runs after that were just capped at like 22, 24Ks, which is probably even higher than his recommendation as well. He said do 5 days, 30 minutes of aerobic cardio. I wasn't personally feeling as bad as like I feel like it could have been. Like I wasn't really feeling that many symptoms of like anything close to what it could be if it was the worst case. So yeah, I did decide that like I would play on the riskier side and not fully go against the doctor's advice. And I did keep my mileage quite high. I was doing a 90K week and then I did a 100K week. But I did have to have a follow-up test after that camera thing because it was inconclusive, and I had to get an MRI with contrast, which they put like some magnetic stuff in your blood and they look for scar tissue, which I had on Monday that just passed, which was yesterday. And in the week leading up to that, I did purely aerobic. I did like 15K aerobic Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I did a 60K week. So I kept it chill. So I went like 90K, 90K, 100K, and then 60K. And it was like a deload, and my legs are feeling really fresh right now. But I did that just to make sure that like the results weren't like skewed because I'd been training really hard in the heat. So yeah, we've done that. They took like 4,000 shots of my heart and they're going to do a report. And it's pretty interesting. I was in there for like an hour in MRI. Since the part of the heart that's enlarged for me is connected to the lungs, they're pretty much seeing if this regurgitation's like what grade it is, like mild, moderate, heavy, whatever. And then if that's also, if there's also scar tissue building up, which would be really risky. And then on top of that, if it's linked to why I have this coughing issue when I'm doing exertion. And yeah, we'll know more. So I don't know what the advice is going to be. It seems like it's going to be hard regardless. And the doctor's likely going to say that I'm risking a lot. Hopefully he doesn't say I'm risking death by doing this prep, because I really want to keep going. Like in my head, I don't think there's many situations where I stop this prep. But obviously if I'm shortening my lifespan for this, then probably got to consider, I don't know, alternative decisions. So yeah, that's been a bit of a shit situation to deal with. So hopefully that all goes well. But yeah, until I get my results, because I feel fine, I'm going back to training as normal. This week we're going for 106Ks. I'm gonna not do any like 30K long runs still until I get my results. So if I don't get results by Saturday, my long run will be like 22Ks, but I'm making up for the mileage throughout the week. I've also like cut out the VO2 max and the anaerobic stuff this week until I get my results as well, and the hill sprints and everything, just so I don't push the heart rate too high, just in case I do have a bad situation. And instead I'm just doing my Norwegian single style training, which, you know, is good to me. I enjoy it and I'm going to make progress doing it. So yeah, today we did 5 by 7 minutes, sub threshold. I think the last few reps got a bit above sub threshold, but we did 4 minutes 40, I think, and then 4 minutes 30 for 3 reps, and then 4 minutes 20 per K as paces for the 5 reps. So yeah, it felt really good. I honestly didn't push that hard. Like I think I can do a lot faster and whatever, but I guess that goes against the theory of Norwegian singles. So I think I executed very well. Don't really need to push any harder than that. And especially considering it's getting very hot here. Today was only 25 degrees and it was overcast. But in general, it's been full sun and like 28. So yeah, legs feel really fresh after that deload. It's crazy. I was actually starting to feel a bit of a niggle. I mentioned in my previous videos on the side of the shin here in the insert. And also like in the right side and the outside in the back of the hamstring, near the insert. And like when I started running, I would have to do like some sort of like ultra runner shuffle to get my pace up because it, you know, hurt quite a bit. But it wasn't like pain as in like I was getting injured, so I knew I could push through it. And I just did load management sort of thing. So yeah, with the deload, I think that's kind of gone. Today was really good. So yeah, it worked out beneficial. You know, you second guess yourself in the deload and you're thinking like, oh, I'm missing out on gains. But I think it was good. And given that I finished 15 weeks out from the marathon, we got plenty of time to execute a good block, and we're coming into the block fresh. Otherwise, I would have been off the back of 30 weeks of pretty hard training, obviously with some sick weeks that were down. Yeah, we're looking good. Yeah, so hopefully the results come back, and by doing this training, I'm not putting myself at risk, and everything looks decent. You know, Like we want to hear like mild regurgitation, nothing abnormal and things like that. And no scar tissue in the heart, things like that, I guess. And yeah, we'll keep it pushing. This is the cottage cheese and egg situation I've been eating for my second breakfast. It's honestly slapper as. Holy shit. I could eat this for every meal. One thing I've been happy with since I had my injury last year with my knee is I've been keeping up like foam rolling and like lacrosse ball rolling. And I even got a massage gun recently, which, you know, isn't proven to show long-term results, I've heard, but you know, it's nice to, I've been smashing it on my calf lately. And when I first started doing it, it really hurt. So I guess it's like loosening up some knots. So yeah, that's been really good for recovery. And then the rolling and the activations pre-workout have been really good to get that mind-muscle connection firing the glutes. And I've also been consistently doing my strength training for the last 3 weeks or so. So the DOMs are fading away now, and I'm able to execute those sessions and pair them with my big mileage weeks. And everything is just running smoothly. And I think that's going to help with injury prevention and also help with the activation and strengthening. That little hamstring issue is going to go away. I think that pain in the side of my shin/insert of the calf between them was because I started doing my bent knee calf raises again, and maybe I was loading it too hard and things like that. But I think strengthening that is the right decision. I kind of went away from strength training for like a few weeks. I was slacking off because I was just too busy working on my app and also training. But yeah, training's getting serious, so you can't skip out on those kinds of things. Update on the Dynafish. Yeah, every run they're getting better. I think I'm at like 80 Ks now on them. I think I did that video reviewing the Chinese shoes I ordered at like 50 Ks. And yeah, they're mad. I think, yeah, notes, when you use a rocker, it really like makes you flow on your feet. And that paired with the 200 gram weight, or like the low 200s, is just insane compared to any other daily trainer. And for me, I know some people said they don't really find it that bouncy, but for me, I can just feel some bounce in the midfoot that helps with all this propulsion. So like the rocker plus the lightweight plus some sort of bounce in that foam, yeah, it feels very nice. So yeah, getting better and better. I'm not like the mad fanboys of it, like it's the best shoe I've ever ran in, but it's a really good shoe. I did put the Mega Blast for the first time in a few weeks on the other day and just took it out for an easy run. And that also gave me a wow as well. It's like when you put it back on, you're like, yeah, this is a really good shoe. So yeah, it's good to have this mad rotation of all these popular, really good shoes. They're popular for a reason. But yeah, in general, my vibe from doing this anaerobic block is one, hill sprints and strides are mad and they're gonna help my leg turnover. And I think that's like a really good speed work sort of stimulus. Like it's not speed work, but like, I think it's enough if you're just trying to improve those things I mentioned, like cadence and things like that. And then keeping up your like threshold training. Because like at the end of the day, yeah, like do anaerobic work to raise your ceiling and your VO2 max and whatever. But then like, I don't know, I kind of hear contradicting like thoughts from different people I watch, and I like to take in all this different information. But at the end of the day, if I build up a really big engine and I start from the base working up and I incorporate the hill strides, the hill sprints and strides, I think that's like a mad combo because you're still learning how to run fast. And then if you're doing like sub-threshold training, you're still running at like a pretty much, for me, my sub-threshold training is like between marathon and half marathon effort realistically, because it's like between 160 and 170 BPM. If you're only training for marathon races and things like that, then you're getting used to what you're going to be doing during the race. And like 5Ks and things are a whole different ball game. But yeah, I can see the argument, like for me, like I did this anaerobic block because I felt like I was not that good anaerobically, and I think it's worth it to like inject in every once in a while. But I really like that sub-threshold style of training where you're running like around half marathon to marathon effort and you're keeping it really controlled and you're doing higher frequency throughout the week of these sessions. You know, like you're getting like above 30 Ks and like even some more experienced runners are getting like close to 50, 60 Ks of like these sub-threshold reps throughout the week, which is mad quality work. Or you can just do these like anaerobic VO2 max sessions, but you don't get as quality work. And, you know, feeling those little niggles in my calf and the back of my hamstring, I felt like, you know, I didn't get anything like that when I was doing sub-threshold training. But like as soon as I started doing this anaerobic prep, which I did have a high mileage at that time as well, but I did have like high mileage 4 weeks before that as well. And my phone died, but what I was saying is pretty much you can do faster work and it looks more impressive, and it might be good for your given situation. But in terms of like training enjoyment and injury prevention, I feel like the sub-threshold Norwegian singles style I was using before is just better for longevity. And I guess all training is good if you keep it consistent and you progress week on week. So yeah, whatever allows you to execute well every week and consistently improve is probably the best for you. And for me, what I found, I only done like 2 proper weeks of that anaerobic block, but I think a better structure for me than doing the anaerobic block would be like keep the hills and strides on my Tuesday and Thursday base sessions and just having my Norwegian singles Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Maybe every once in a while, like push the short Norwegian singles to make it like 800s or 400s. But like the top end speed you get from 400s, like if I'm running my 400s at like between 3 minute and 3 minute 30 per K, like am I ever gonna run a marathon at 3 minutes to 3 minutes 30 per K? Like not in this form, bro. I'm like 93 kilos. Like there's no way anyone 93 kilos is gonna be running a marathon at 3 minutes 15 or whatever per K. Like yeah, and probably will never be a goal of mine. So yeah, if I can get really good at this threshold stuff, we'll be able to smash the goal. But yeah, honestly, like yeah, the doctor's feedback is like a tough pill to swallow, to be honest. So yeah, let's see what the results say and then decide from there. But yeah, I really want to get this sub-3. Like yeah, I don't want to stop training. It's crazy shit, man. Anyway, that's the training update. I think I will have like a couple more weeks of this like anaerobic stuff, depending on the doctor's feedback. But it's kind of weird now because like it's awkward because like this week I'm doing sub-threshold training just so I don't push my heart rate too high. And then last week was a deload week. And then I had 2 weeks of this anaerobic stuff. And the whole idea was to do like a 5-week anaerobic block and then do a marathon style block. But yeah, I don't know. The plan's going to change. The marathon style block in my head was like starting to incorporate marathon pace work and stuff in my long runs and stuff. But even then, like I don't think I want to target marathon pace like 4 minute 14, some random pace in my long run, especially in the heat here. Like I'd rather do marathon effort work and things like that. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the training evolves and see what results you can get from making your own training plan based on watching heaps of different and reading heaps of different information. But yeah, you got to pick and choose. You can't just take information from everywhere and then try to combine it to make your own concoction, because you end up mixing approaches. And if you don't take the best of every approach, or even if you did take the best of every approach and you put them together, maybe you're lacking in something, right? So yeah, you just got to take an approach that works for you and stick with it. That's what I've learned as a non-running expert. Just your average Joe, mate. Anyway, I just finished tracking my macros for the day, and yeah, I'm sitting at like 3,200 calories a day right now. 180 protein, 350 carb, 135. I changed my chicken breast out for chicken thigh, so I think my fat is just gone through the roof. Like I don't mind being at 130 fat. I'm not like bodybuilder obsessed right now, but I think I can definitely shift some of that to carbs. I'm going to switch the thigh out back for chicken breast. It's been really mad to eat because I've been eating chicken breast as like a main source of protein for years, since like probably like almost 10 years now. So it's like pretty mad to actually switch it to something more tasty. But yeah, I'm ready to go back to the breast and add some more carbs in. And yeah, I'll see what 3,200 calories does. I haven't really tracked my full day of eating in a while just to see what it is. I just eat the same thing every day, and if I feel like I need to eat more, I eat more. It's kind of intuitive eating. But I want to dial in my weight a little bit. Just thinking about it, I can make my half marathon effort, which was, I think I did like 485 watts on average, according to my Garmin and my weight on the day at the Bucharest half marathon. So the idea in my head, maybe this is like full nerd engineer spec, but my idea in my head is like, all right, my marathon pace goal, if I wanted it sub-3, would be like 515 watts on average. But what if I just drop my weight so that the 515 watts becomes 485, and then I just have to make my half marathon pace my marathon pace by Berlin, and that just like puts everything, like makes it sound so reasonable. So yeah, I'm just thinking about all these different things. Obviously, you don't want to stray away and change your focuses and start doing all this bullshit. Like I was thinking about like, yeah, if I drop kilos and go down to 85, it would be good, but my sessions would sacrifice. So then I told myself, all right, I'm not going to lose weight. And then now I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should lose weight. So I keep bouncing between ideas. But the idea is just preserve the quality of training, fuel so I don't get injured, and try to shed some weight if I can. Like maybe not target 85, like we're getting too close to target 85 realistically. But yeah, like if I have some weight savings and I'm eating nutritious, yeah, I wouldn't complain about that. So that's the plan. That's the training update. I don't have any running content actually, like I've been running, no new shoes to review today, but I just thought I'd give an update because it's been like 4 weeks, and like this whole concept, this whole Tom Goes Raw, like a lot of it did start, one, documenting my SAS, but also documenting my journey to sub-3 at Berlin. So I want to have this documented, especially being 15 weeks out. It's like a pretty mad point. It's like final block, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, this has been like a big spanner in the works with this heart issue, but yeah, let's see what happens.